We got a lot of songs that we can pick to choose and play in here, and I've never picked that song before. Just listening to the lyrics, this is why I know that we have a soundtrack to life, and a lot of, this music is so powerful, right? We know that. We know that. And just listening to those words and me sitting here and reflecting in my own life, listen to Vic share his service, my brothers and sisters on this platform who are here finding their voice. This is us, right? So if you'd like to contribute to MB Radio, make sure you go to mbradio.us, donate to this platform. They don't charge us. They do all of this, supply all of this for us. For some veterans, they supply equipment. They train them. Uh, Everything here to give that veteran a voice to find and share, express themselves. A lot of us are just looking for what's next. I was blessed to discover my sickle cell trait, that God showed me that my sickle cell trait that was given to me in my mother's womb, that the military career was just part of the journey, that actually my voice is for that community. And so I use all the military background, the development, the confidence, the training, all of that I've spent 24 years in that service. That transitions over to my advocacy work. And so if you'd like to contribute to this platform, mbradio.us, you can go there and donate and support these veterans, my brothers and sisters, and our first responders as well. I was on a show Sunday morning on KCA Radio, Empire Talks Back, and I didn't know that there was going to be some other veterans there, but they were, and I knew one of them, and he's a Vietnam era veteran, and he said that there are about 30% left of that era of veterans. They're all now in their 70s and 80s, and there's about 30% of those who served during the Vietnam era still around. And for various reasons, of course, age wise, of course, but also from the health issues that they had succumbed to. Back then, it wasn't PTSD, it was shell shock. I remember the term of shell shock. They really didn't have a lot of mental health conversations back then. So a lot of them self medicated. A lot of them were self medicating over there in the country and came home with that. And so, yeah, I didn't realize that generation has reduced to about 30% of those Vietnam era veterans. And so, as Vic was saying, there's a lot of ways that we can get involved as service members, the American Legion, VFWs. Those locations are also ran by our older generation of veterans, and so they're in their 60s, 70s, 80s, still in those locations. And so, if we don't start to find a place in those environments, in the VFWs and American Legions, then what's going to happen to those locations where all of that history is, right? And so, even myself, I'm reevaluating how I haven't participated in the American Legion or VFW in a few years. And I have some ideas that I'm looking at that could help bring that veteran community out in those locations and start to rebuild those memberships in those locations so they could be a family oriented space where I could go to if I'm feeling a certain way. I could go to the VFW or American Legion and play some pool and sit with another veteran as I sit here with my community. So yes, that song, yeah, just makes you think about life. So again, I appreciate you for listening in the Rondoze Show on MB Radio. I got one more guest. Again, in this search of supporting the Inland Empire Hounds in our basketball season this year for the Love of Dogs campaign. So we're looking for breeders to grief counseling for pet owners like myself to brand with us, to support. So we have marketing platforms, marketing ways that you can brand with us for the season. Help us cover some of our expenses. It does cost money. It's not free. Help players get paid and things like that. So if you'd like to be a part of that campaign, that's just one of many. Or bring your own ideas to the table, and you can support us, and we can support you in using our platform to get your message out into the community. So my next guest here is Chad. Chad was actually also on Sunday night. Um, I thought that was going to be like a 7 to 10 minute conversation, but my man just came on the line and he was just speaking to some whole life of stuff that I have been sharing. I didn't even realize that he had looked at the other stuff and just dropped some information. And I was just like, wow, man, you got to come back. And so I invited him back here on this platform to share. So up next is Chad. How you doing?
Good. How you doing? Thank you very much for having me back on. I'm sorry for just spilling that all out. As you get to know me, you'll know that
No.
I kind of just share anything and everything. I'm definitely an open book, and
Yeah.
sometimes I kind of run on, so I apologize.
No, no, no. Actually, it was perfect. It was perfect because my shows are 99% organic, and so when you came on the line and you shared that information, it really was like, wow. Like you sometimes, I mean, I've learned even my advocacy work, even with these talk shows. People look at how many people watch and all that, but it's not about that with me. You just never know who's going to hear that conversation either that day or later down the line, and so when you came on and you shared what you shared, I was like, well, this is serious. This is more than just about dogs. This is about someone who heard some conversations that it resonated with you and you could see something for yourself and you shared that. And so I appreciate that, you know, for you bringing that up. So do me a favor, introduce yourself. If you can adjust your camera just a little bit, your top of your head is cut off just a little bit.
Sure, I
Yeah.
apologize
No,
there.
no, no, you're good. I don't want to. Yeah.
Let's see if I can do
Yeah, there you
a
go.
little bit of this.
Yeah, just want to make sure you're not cut off. Yeah.
And how's
Perfect.
that?
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So do
Okay,
me a favor. Yeah, introduce yourself.
so first off, again, because I'm on the MB radio and I
Yeah.
said it before, I got to say it here. Thank you to all the heroes. That song was perfect, by the way.
Yeah.
I, I feel like you and I have a very similar mindset to life, and everybody has a soundtrack and all that, and
Yeah.
wow, what a song! But thank you to all the heroes out there, wherever you are now, or if you're a family member of a hero that's somewhere out there that has sacrificed, made the ultimate sacrifice.
Thank you.
Um, they're never forgotten. We may not know their name, but we know what they did for us, and
Yes.
we just want to say thank you very much. And uh, getting a little choked up from that. I'm a very
Yeah.
emotional guy.
No,
So
it's okay.
my name is
You're in the
Chad
right
Boone.
space.
Uh, my name's Chad Boone. I'm based out of Akron, Ohio, and so pretty far away from California there. But uh, I I shared very quickly early childhood, 6 years old, just as I became baptized. My parents got divorced. Was living in Missouri at the time, and my dad basically abducted me and my older sister,
Yeah.
and took us off to Oklahoma. And my sister has since heard this. And full disclosure, she doesn't want me to get too far into the weeds
No,
because
no
it's
problem.
her
No
personal
problem.
life too.
Of course. Of course.
So, but it we carry that baggage, that trauma, and I was saying about you got to give everybody grace. You don't know what they've been through, just from seeing them face to face or
Yeah.
having a conversation. And sometimes you can know somebody for decades and never know what they've gone through.
Right.
And so being abducted and my mom coming around, finding out where we were and getting us back. And this was early 80s, like 81, 82.
Yeah.
And it took until I didn't have a guy in my life. I didn't have guidance until my stepdad, now my
Mm.
dad, I call him my dad,
Yeah.
came into my life, as an early teen and showed me what it meant to be a man and how to treat a woman and how to sacrifice for your family and working
Yeah.
3 jobs, and uh, just learning life at that point. And unfortunately, my family dynamic, my father came back in, my biological father came back into my life, and we kind of had to navigate and had this pull and tug of
Hmm.
that whole situation,
Yeah.
till the day he died.
Mm.
And I I believe we made amends, um,
That's
even though
good.
he never admitted to what he did, which does
Yeah.
cause issues for people.
Yeah.
When people don't own up to what they've done, or good or bad, it causes trauma on somebody else. So I feel like you really need to, if you did somebody wrong, own up to it.
Yeah.
Apologize, give them some closure, because both my sister and I, and my mom, frankly, have all seen repetitive cycles
Yeah.
of how this trauma affects our daily life,
No doubt.
personal life, work life, inner relationships between us.
Yeah.
Um, so how it affects my stepdad, my now, my dad.
Yeah.
So seek counseling if you seek counseling. I commend you on this radio program. By the way, I'm now going to be a constant listener.
No, thank
Um,
you.
it's a fantastic show. Uh,
I want
but
to say, I want to share, what you pointed
sure.
to for me when I hear you share what you shared. You know, I can't even imagine. I look at my daughters, right?
Hmm.
I can't even imagine what it would take for a father to go and remove his children from where they live, right? Like you look at that from a level of love, right? But then
Hmm.
also what was he dealing with, right?
Right.
In growing up in his environment as a child, that would
Right.
have a person say, you know what, I don't care what I'm going to get my children because I want to be with my children to the point where I will abduct the child. Like there's so many mixed emotions and things going on, as you said. But if to look at that from how much love that he wanted to have for y'all, that he would take you
Hmm.
in that fashion to be with you, right?
Right.
That's something for a man to be at that point. And we forget as adults, we were children before, right? And so what is that for that adult to have the mentality and have the capability to go that far and just I can't even imagine doing that with my children, like just go take them from their mother and just taking off. Like, yes, it's from
Sure.
love, but there's so much, like you said, connected to that. What is that? And I appreciate you for saying that regardless of how it looks for you, that you can say that you have some level of closure, right? Because that's going to be the
Right.
biggest thing for you moving forward, as being forgiving to him, to so that you don't carry that for yourself, right? That forgiveness is
Right.
always for us. It's not for just them. It gives them an opportunity to self-reflect at some point, but really with that the space of forgiveness is for us to be able to be free from those emotional stuff, and like you said, and then seek the help that we need to start to put those pieces back for ourselves.
Amen.
But that's what I heard when you shared how you shared your experience. There
Absolutely.
was a love
Uh,
there for sure for your father. There was a love there, but extreme. It
Absolutely. Amen.
comes across as sometimes it's chaos.
Knowing what kind of trouble he could have gotten into,
Right,
and the
right, like
fact
he
that he
risked
didn't go
it.
to jail, he didn't
Yeah,
go to prison. He
right.
was a former. He's an army veteran.
Yeah,
He was in Vietnam.
yeah,
He would not talk about what happened there. I mean, I know you can't see it from here, but since he passed, I felt compelled to get all of his medals.
yeah.
Seeking out
That's cool.
what I could get and what he was awarded,
Yeah,
and put together a plaque.
that's
You know,
cool.
and there are issues that we carry, that why, what, and there are other issues of, okay, I know he loved me,
Yeah.
to go through that, but
Yeah.
it's tough,
Yeah.
and it also burdened myself, in the point that I never wanted children, because I was afraid that,
See?
you know I was always afraid that, what would happen.
Yeah.
That's why got married. We shortly after we got married, we got Hershey, our little dachshund, 4 months old. That she was our child. We like to think that she passed away at 18 years, 2 months, and 2 weeks this past October.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
2 months after my or 2 weeks after my birthday, and we have grown to the point where we went through the cycle of trauma and trying to heal, and we still are.
Yeah.
And my wife and I, and you know, we were starting to kind of try to, I'd say joking, but trying to heal and saying, well, she went off to college, you know, she's at doggy college somewhere, or she's Jesus lapdog now, right? And
I'm laughing because when my dad passed, that level of denial that I was in, it was
mhm,
like he was on vacation, right?
right,
It was like he's on vacation because we would go, you know, because of how I treated him, I would get mad at him and we would not talk for maybe a couple of weeks, a couple of
mm,
months. There had been a span of where years went by where we didn't talk because I was mad at him
mhm,
subconsciously, not knowing what it was, but it was that disconnection. And then so when he passed, it was that came to mind because we would not talk for maybe 3 or 4 days. So it wouldn't be unusual to not hear from him. And so, but a part of my grief process was, yeah, he's out of town. It was like he's out of
right.
town right now.
But when
Yeah,
that reality hits
of
that, well, now it's been a
course,
few
of course,
weeks, been a few months.
of course.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Did you have a good relationship growing up with your father?
I did, but that decision that I made about my dad was at 5,
Mm,
and so I made up a story that he didn't love me as a 5-year-old, and so
mm,
for those, and I didn't discover that story until 40. So you
mm,
can imagine from 35 from for 35 years, my heart was disconnected from him because I always thought that he didn't love me, and no matter what he did, it was because he was making up for that. But I didn't say that. I
mhm,
never said that out of my mouth, but it was how my mind talked to Farron about his father. And so,
mhm,
of course, you collect evidence. The subconscious mind is perfect for collecting evidence to reiterate that you're not good enough, that he doesn't care about you, and all those stories that we make up about ourselves. So at 40, I had enough evidence, that I treated him as such. I was very mean to my dad. I was very hard. I would cut him off in conversations. Again, we would go weeks and months without speaking because of the pain that I felt from a 5-year-old decision, right? And so
mhm,
to discover that at 40 and to realize that it wasn't him, it was me, and the decision I made, it was like I had a 8 years, after healing with him and asking him to forgive me. So I went to him for forgiveness. I asked him to forgive me because I saw how I treated him. And all he said was, I just want to spend time with you. You're my son. So none of that
wow,
had ever impacted him. I was the one carrying all of that upset and disappointment, and he don't love me. And I never expressed that till 40. So
wow,
we had 8 years after that to reconnect. I got my dad back at 40, and all that stuff disappeared. All of the negative, I realized that it was me, so I took responsibility for that behavior, right? And I became, instead of being upset and frustrated with my dad, I became acknowledgement and gratitude and fun. And so our relationship flourished because I was aware of who I was being with him, and he just wanted to spend time with me. So that transformed my relationship. I got my dad back, like I said, for 8 years, and then he passed away. So the resentment, the regrets was disappeared at 40. So all those emotions turned to, well, no wonder. And I had sat with him like, what was going on? What was going on when you were born? Like, what was going on in your environment? And when he told me the stories, then it was like, well, no wonder you act like that. Well, no wonder you behave like that. I remember my grandfather's. Well, no wonder. So then it wasn't him that I had the alt with. And that literally transformed my relationship with him. And that's one of the things that I teach and share from, because a lot of things come with our parents, as children. And
mhm,
the brain of a child, I didn't know what it was to be an adult back in the 70s. Like I had no clue. But our
right,
brain is developing. We discount the child's development stages, and that brain is giving meaning to life from birth. Even they say in the womb, stuff can go on. So when you understand that and you do the work in that and you free yourself from that, then it's like, well, then I wonder what this other person's dealing with. Now it's not about, that's where that humility, that empathy becomes natural because you've done your own work and you can see what how I was horrible in my language. Then it's like, then you give people grace, as you pointed to. Then you give people the space to be themselves because then what are you dealing with? Like, what is going
Right.
on? And then people tell you out of their mouth what they're dealing with. If you listen, we say everything that we're dealing with. And so that has been, for me, one of the biggest things in my life at that age of 40 to kind of put pieces back together. But then when he passed, it was a whole nother piece that I had to deal with because I missed the humanness. I was complete, no regrets, no resentment, but then the humanness is what I experienced missing, as with my dog and my grandfather. So that's the
Right.
part that we got to learn how to manage. As I said, he's on vacation, as I stated, he's out of town right now. He's not. No, he didn't die. He's out of town right now.
Right.
But you
Right.
have to deal with the reality of it at some point.
Right. Now, did you feel, because I didn't have children,
Hmm.
human children,
Yeah.
did that come about at a certain point after having kids?
What
Like
what
being
part?
able to see your father's side and realizing that you had put some kind of
Oh no,
twist.
my daughters were in their 20s and teenage years. Yeah.
I just didn't know if maybe
Teenage years.
you and one of your daughters or maybe had something and you're like, oh, it clicked.
Oh, yeah, well, again, you want to talk about that aspect of it after I discovered how I was with my mom and dad because I made up a story about my mom as well. When I reconciled with my parents at 40, I realized that my daughters, I had treated them the same way that my dad treated me. So then, yes, I had to pivot to my daughters and go back to them and ask them to forgive me for how I treated them and raised them. And I gave each one the space to tell me how they felt about me. And boy, buddy, it was my oldest daughter was like, I forgive you, but I'll talk to you when I'm ready to on my own terms. And I'm like, okay, I respect that. My middle daughter, she cursed me out for about an hour and 45 minutes. And when that was done, I asked her to forgive me and to give me an opportunity to be her parent. I wasn't a parent, I was a father, but I wasn't a parent to them. And so she said, yes, I forgive you. And she tested me along the way. But today, you couldn't even tell that we had that conversation because of the
Nice.
space that was the healing. And my youngest daughter, because I was there when she was born and raised her, there was a couple of things, but it wasn't as traumatic because she was younger. So yeah, each phase of that, I had to go back and take responsibility for how I raised my daughters because I did the same thing to my children as I thought my parents did to me.
Hmm.
So yes, it those they call those generational consequences and curses and things like that. Yes, those are real. Those are, and they show up how they show up because I turned out like my mom. I'm the version of my mom in my life experience. And so when I saw that at 40, when I talked to my mom, she was like, "Oh my goodness, I forgot about you." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She was so worried and making sure that my sisters understood how to have a relationship and was taking care, whatever that was. But I was the oldest, so it wasn't a conversation. I was the boy, but I
Mm.
needed that conversation as well. So I thought, no, mom, don't worry about it. I today I take responsibility for my life. I don't blame you. I don't blame anyone, and I recognize that these were my choices. And so I even healed with my mom. So those were the things that I teach from today because yes, as a veteran, we joined the military with a lot of stuff already, and then the military sometimes exasperates those emotions and things like that, and then you have all these things that you never dealt with in your past, and then now your career is over, your life is over, or whatever, and then I had to go back and not, I got my life back as not one to commit suicide or take my life. I got that back, but I got my life back from my
Right.
childhood, and that takes work, and a lot of people aren't willing to do that work because it's painful.
Right.
It's you got to go back and allow your body to experience those emotions, because we have those body sensations. The body keeps the score. So we have
Mm-hmm.
those body sensations, and the thoughts can trigger the body sensation, or sometimes the body sensation happens on its own, and then the thought comes to
Mm-hmm.
us. Why do I feel like that? Oh, that's that from the past. So all of that is working, in its own space. And for me, the biggest part I know when I get to the healing phase of it is because I experience it in my body. I experienced that emotion of that trauma. I know where it's coming from now. I can think about it and I can feel it, and then I have to let that pass through. And the moment that you allow that body sensation to go through, then it's no longer connected to the thought anymore, and because you're aware of where it's coming from. But that's 15 years of work though, to go through these phases of dealing with our emotional trauma. And for
Yeah,
some.
you know what? I appreciate you saying that. That is one thing that I do struggle with still to
Mhm.
this day is that
Yeah.
physical response.
The body sensations?
Yeah, the body
Yes.
sensations, and
Yes.
there's times where I let it take control of me,
Yes.
to be honest. And,
Yes.
I would like to say, that I would like to say that I have control over it. I don't at times, you revert back to that 5 or 6 year old child
Right.
that, you couldn't defend yourself
Right.
during
Right.
the situation. So what does a child typically do? A child either uh, acts out
Hmm.
or a child shuts down.
Right.
And I'm the
Right.
type that shuts down. I get
Right.
defensive and I shut down.
Right. That's
So
me. That's me.
so I, you know, when it comes to adversity, which is another reason why I commend military, is if I was in that stressful of a situation, I
Mm.
don't think I can handle it, to be
Yeah.
honest. I Vic was a great, that was a great conversation with Vic.
Yeah.
And just hearing, you know, what you guys go through, um, I'm sure they help train some of that out of you. But boy,
No.
does
No.
the body keeps memories.
No. They that and you can ask a lot of veterans. They teach us how to turn it on, but not to turn it off. And
Really?
that's what we see with the high rate of suicide. That's what we see with the high rate of homelessness. Because as we shared, when my brain clicked over in basic training, Farron, the civilian teenager, was gone. I became a soldier. My identity shifted. So for those who have identity crisis, right? Because some people do, um, mine was connected to that uniform. So when that was taken away, I was lost. So
Okay.
to go back to
Right,
what
because
you
you didn't
said,
have a
right,
teenager. So
right,
who
because
am
I
I?
was now. So who am I? Right. So who am I? And with the body sensation, I'll tell you this: mine's was so bad, man, Chad, that when I felt those traumas, and there were different ones, I could feel it in my legs to the point where I couldn't even walk, like I'm crippled, right? So it was so much body pain sensation that I would just go lay down and I would just go sleep it off. And
Wow.
sometimes I could sleep it off in an hour, and there's sometimes I got to sleep the rest of the day off because I just could not. The body just would not stop feeling the emotional pain of whatever the thought that was it whether it was a past relationship or past trauma or whatever. Mine was in my legs, and
Mm,
I would literally be crippled. And what helped me was I had to, after I got divorced and I was in the house by myself because that's what I wanted, right, to get my peace and try to figure out who I was. I realized that I had in my mind alone and lonely felt the same. It was the same body sensation, right? So when I felt I was alone or I was lonely, my body went into that emotional shock. And that's what I suffered from. So I would be here, I just go lay down. Like I said, I'd be by myself. I just got to go sleep it off. But as soon as I got into a conversation where I separated the difference between being alone and lonely, they're not the same.
right.
So when I separated the thought and did the work around that, it disconnected from the body sensation from being alone and lonely. Now I can think about it right now, and I can have some of those feelings come in my body just from thinking about it, but I know where it's coming from. So
Right.
when it shows up, oh, that's what that is, and I could push past it. But when you think that how our mind talks to us, and that's us, I thought my mind was me. The subconscious mind is not us. That's designed to keep us safe.
Right.
A lot of things that we're not even present that the brain does automatically to keep us alive.
Right.
So your spirit is the one that's observing all the conversations in your head and all that. So when you learn, like I said, when you learn that, and it's like, okay, wait
Hmm.
a minute, I have feelings and emotions, and I don't have to become them. Like that was a transformative breakthrough that I was able to then look at. I'm alone, but I'm not lonely.
Boy, that resonates because that is my one of my biggest hurdles in life is alone but not lonely. I have a lot of
Yeah,
the issues when I'm physically alone.
yeah,
And I think that comes from the childhood and the abandonment.
yeah,
I stated in the previous episode that my father actually, during the whole, there was a fight before. My mom came back and we were getting some things before we had family coming from Ohio down
yeah.
to get us, and we had went back to the apartment after being in a women's shelter, and we went to get some stuff, and
Mhm.
my father showed up before anybody else got there, and there was a fight, and I saw him, hit my mom, smacked my
Yeah,
sister across the room, and I don't remember him ever being violent or anything.
yeah.
And then, I remember sitting in a corner by the refrigerator,
Mm,
seeing
mm,
everything. And next
mhm,
thing I know, I remember, flashback, okay, I'm sitting in a car and my
mm,
dad tells me, just remember, I will always love you.
mm,
And then I'm being handed back to my mom.
mm.
And then that's when my
Wow,
grandfather, my cousin, and
wow,
off we go. And we're in the back of a little pickup truck.
wow,
Right. And I don't see him again until I'm like, I think I was like 10, 11. I think I said 12, 13. I was like 10, 11.
right.
Um, so, you know, it's like
Yeah,
I have abandonment issues.
for sure. Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I love animals and I love people. And I look for, like I told you, my wife and I, we volunteer at our church. Shout out to the Chaplain Green in Uniontown, Ohio. We volunteer with the special needs ministry there.
Mm,
And
amen.
because that is a part of society that's forgotten a lot of times,
Yes.
just like
Yeah.
homeless, just like frankly the military, in my opinion. You
Yes.
know, um, and like next week we have a thing called Jesus Prom that we're going to, and
Okay.
there's typically I think like 100 or 2 people with special needs that come out, and
Oh
we
wow.
have a big old party, and they can dance and have games, and we got
Oh
local
wow.
cheerleaders from some of the high schools are there cheering them
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
down a red carpet, and the whole
Oh
thing, right?
wow.
And so anyway, it's it's in the bad sense, it's given me these body sensations and these things that I need to overcome. And you've just helped me a lot with that because, you know, it is the body is just a tent,
Yeah.
our spirit is in,
Yeah.
you know, and it's also very much, Adam was made from the dirt, right? And this is dirt,
Yeah.
this carries the sin, not
Yeah.
not the spirit.
Right.
And once we get the idea of that, which you just helped me realize, that fear is the sin.
Yeah. That's the
Once we
thing.
can overcome that and detach ourselves from that sin,
Yes. Yes.
you're good,
You're good.
right?
You're good.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
You actually just made something click for me.
Amen.
Um, and that I've been struggling for my whole life with. So
Wow,
now I just
brother.
got to make it work.
To God be the
But
glory.
that's another reason why I started that pet transport business is after we lost Hershey. And frankly, another side story is I am a cancer survivor.
Mm.
I had kidney cancer and I had kidney
No
cancer
kidding.
surgery in February 12th of 2018.
No
And
kidding.
that was found because of Hershey and my wife convincing me to go to the hospital. And it turned out it was something completely different.
Wow.
And Hershey was just acting weird one night and wouldn't let me sleep
Wow.
and just
Wow.
restless. And so I went to try to make her comfortable in the living room where she's normally at all day. And next thing I know, I start getting these weird other feelings. Wife,
No
so are you having a heart
way.
attack? I'm like, I don't think so. I feel like I'm too young for this, right? And we go to the hospital, and I had taken a Benadryl because I couldn't sleep. And
Wow.
the Benadryl's kicking in. They're like, hey, we're going to go take you for a scan. Okay, zonk out. Wake back up. They're like, well, we think we found something on your
Oh
scan. You
my
want to follow up with the
goodness.
doctor. We're not sure. It's probably nothing. So then I'm like, well, I'm probably not going to go to the doctor. My wife's like, you need to go to the doctor. I don't want to know if they
You
found
better
something.
get me
You
while
need to
I'm
go to
here
the
right
doctor.
now, right? You better get me
Right.
while I'm here.
My brain, aka my wife, is telling me to go to the doctor. So I go to the doctor. And sure enough, they found cancer, found out the day after Christmas
Wow.
and my mother in law's birthday.
Wow.
I had surgery in February, the day after my mother's birthday. Um, day of surgery, my mom's like, I love you. Don't ever
Yeah.
forget. If something happens, I'm like, one, I'll be in heaven. So, it's like, I don't
That's
know
the
if I'll,
promotion. I'm good.
all that bad stuff will be gone, right? I'm not supposed to remember all that. And then it's
Right.
like number two, I'm like, Mom, I have a sense of peace after I've already cried it out, right? Man cried it out. Like, I'm gonna die. And but like, I told her like I'm just gonna go take an expensive nap.
Yeah.
God has me either way. I'm at
Yes.
peace,
Yes.
right? If I pass away on that table, it's the best day ever for me because I'm with him.
Yes.
If not, I'm just here back with you guys and it's still good, right?
Right.
And so that's another reason why I started it is to honor her legacy, right?
Yes.
Um, every animal, I don't know what other animal out there might be able to give somebody else their life back,
I don't know.
right?
I don't
So
know.
so let's find them all a home. Let's find them the right spot, whether it's a breeder, a rescue, a humane society, some
Somewhere.
one found off the street, right? We don't know. And or you're just a pet owner and you have to move, or you're in the military and you need to,
Yeah.
you found one while you're away at service and you want it brought back. Um, and that dog is helping you heal.
Yes.
I'm here for you. And I'm a fairly new company, but I'm small but mighty. I actually am talking to somebody that I just got started yesterday. Brace yourself.
Okay.
Her and her husband are in Chicago, moving to Greece.
Wow.
They want to move 20 cats.
What?
20 cats.
20
Okay.
cats.
20 cats, international travel. So I'm feeling that situation out as we speak.
What?
Well, not as we speak, but
What?
um, yeah. So but it's possible. Okay.
It
So,
is. It
so
is.
yes, it costs money. And I'm
Yeah.
not just talking about my fee
Yeah.
because yes, I need profits in order to operate. I work a
For
nine to
sure.
five job.
Yeah.
This isn't my full-time job.
Yeah.
Would I love to do it full time? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But my main objective is the legacy, Hershey's legacy,
Yeah. Thank you.
and trying to help others. It's people and pets, right? It's
Yes.
God, people, pets,
Right?
right? And
That's what
now,
Adam, we're doing what Adam was naming the animals, and that was his duty to take care of the animals on this planet.
right. And animals were very important apparently to God because he put that in there really early, right?
Right. Right.
So,
Exactly.
and we all know, if anybody's people that are listening to you, they know how important Daisy was
Yeah.
to you and what she's done for you. And
Yeah.
I know you have a hole in your heart right now,
Yeah.
right? And it's hard, and you may never get over it, and that's okay,
Yeah.
right? Um, I can tell you as a pet owner, and having pets over my life, you know, um, but I never truly attached myself to one like Hershey,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like that's the same way for you.
Yeah.
If you never get over that hurt and be able to find another pet, that's
Yeah.
okay. because that's what God meant for that situation, right?
Yeah, for
But if
sure,
you
for
do,
sure.
this is what my wife and I are trying to go through right now, are going through right now. We
Mhm.
went from we never want another dog,
Yeah.
right? We can't. We started mourning her, we realized, before she was gone.
Mm.
Because she was taking vitamin D shots. She had a heart murmur. She was, had
Mm.
she was starting to not go blind, but she started getting dementia, you
Mm.
know, and she was going through her health issues.
Yeah.
And we gave her, I personally would give her the shots, we
Wow.
would give her the pills, and she literally got to a point where she was pushing my hand away.
Wow.
Like, I don't want them anymore. Like,
Wow.
literally that day. Um,
Wow.
Kind of like if you're an elderly parent or
Yeah.
grandparent, you're like, I'm
Yeah.
done.
I'm done. Yeah, I'm done. This.
And uh, you know, we don't we would said we don't want another one.
Yeah.
We can't go through that hurt.
Mm-mm.
We just can't do it. Well, maybe, but we don't want to tarnish her legacy. We don't want her forgotten.
Yeah. I
To
feel you.
realizing that for us, Hershey was kind of the glue in the relationship a little bit. We're okay
Yeah.
to get we love each other and we're okay together.
Yeah.
We love each other and that'll never change. We'll never be apart. But she was such a huge
That
dynamic
was
and she
family.
came into our
Yeah.
marriage. She
Yeah.
came into our marriage like not even 6 months into our marriage
Wow.
because that's when God put her there,
Wow.
right? And we got her on a January 2nd and we met on a January 2nd. And we only got her on a January 2nd because we happened to be on petfinder.com just walking around. We saw her brother.
Yeah.
And I called and the lady's like, I don't have him, but I have his sister.
Wow.
And she really at first was hesitant to giving her up because I think she wanted to keep her.
Oh, okay.
So, there's to now, fast forward, kind of come
Right.
back to
All that.
we've adopted. We are waiting for our new puppy
Okay.
to be of age to come home.
Okay.
So, it's I would never close if I were you, I would never close the door on it, but give yourself
Yeah.
enough time and space to heal.
Yeah. And I thank you for that because and this is when we picked up the I hounds and me and my business partner had that talk that day and we were both grieving with our dogs on the phone. We don't know how we got on that conversation, but we both ended up talking about our dogs and he was grieving from his dog of 17 years and mine of 14 and it was like, bro, this is a perfect opportunity for us to heal and talk about the grief because for me just grief in itself has been something that God has put on my heart. I know it's important. I know grief is an important conversation and for me to go through it with my grandmother in 95 and that took me 10 years to heal from her. One day it just clicked and then my dad like and then my grandfather was in 2020 from he was 90 and then my dog 2 years so it's 19 20 and then 22 beginning of
Right.
2020 and I put Daisy down on my dad's birthday. So
Oh
when
man.
you looked at when I heard you with the dates I'm like yeah she was I put her down on my dad's birthday and so just all of that like you said and never really dealing with that right
Mm-hmm.
and then now an opportunity to share that and then meet people who have gone through this process. Like I felt like I was the only one, suffering in silence. But then I'm sharing now, and it's like so many people have these similar experience, and it's like, oh man, I'm not by myself. This is an important conversation, for our
Right.
not just our pets, but with our family. I just believe that the way that grief, I picked up the hounds because of the owner lost his brother, and it was grief that he was like, I can't even deal with that right now. I need to step away and
Mm.
take care of my own sons. I'm over here working with these grown men doing basketball. My sons are here younger, so I got it. Like I get that grief can shift our life, and I just believe that that is an important conversation that we have to figure out how to share grief so that people can start to really heal that process. right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many phases to it. There's so much stuff that's connected to it. And I honestly, I'll say this. I don't know if I said this on the air, but just a week and a half ago, I got free from a layer of grief because I remember that when my I was in broadcasting school, TV broadcasting school in 19, and I was on the camera that day doing filming the news report, and we take the equipment upstairs. I grab my phone out of my pocket, and I'm checking to see who called because I'm sure I had some missed calls, and so it was my dad's caregiver that
Mm.
called that, and so I clicked the voicemail, and I hear her crying, and and I still have it. She's just hysterically crying and call me back, and your dad is not responsive, and I'm like, what? And so I look at the phone, I call her, and she's still crying, and I'm like, all right, let me know what happens. Call me when they come there to get the body, because I'm thinking like on TV, like, oh, they'll take the cord, they'll come and get the body. So I'm standing there, and I remember when I hung up the phone from her, my mind, here's my subconscious mind, says, man, my dad died. And then the next thing out of my mouth was, I'm done.
Oh.
And so in that moment, when I said that I'm done, I realized, no, I can't be done because I'm in school. I got all this. I'm an advocate for sickle cell. Like, no, I got a purpose. Like, I got a vision. Like, no, I can't be done. But I said it.
Mm-hmm.
And subconsciously, the last 6 years, I have been suffering in silence, trying to fill all these talk shows and all this stuff because I don't want to be done, but my mind is really drifting away to say I'm done. So when I discovered that, like, wait a minute, my I don't feel successful, right? So I took a seminar around success, but not success as being successful, the emotional state of success and where it comes from. And so that
Mm.
was the work that I've done, and that was what I discovered, that I am successful. I don't have to do anything, but the stuff that I was doing was never going to fill that void. And I never experienced being successful as a broadcaster anymore, or an advocate for sickle cell trait or anything, even though I was doing it. I suffered quietly because I really wanted to quit. And to connect that thought again back to the moment, it's like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I
Yeah.
went from a be, do, and have living, being the broadcaster, doing what broadcasters do, and then producing the results. Being an advocate for sickle cell trait, doing what advocates do, and producing results. But the moment I said that I was done, it went back to survival state of mind, which is I gotta have the work to do it, and then I'll be the advocate at the end.
Mm.
So you see that you don't experience being the advocate until you have it and do it, and the experience of it is in the end. The B is at the end. So I got it back out of whack. And that's what the survival state that I had been in the last 6 years.
Wow.
So to discover that, and then I had to feel it in my body. So I felt the anxiousness. I felt the disappointment in myself. Like I felt all of the upset and all of that hurt from my dad passing, and I playing back the phone call. Like I had to go back through all of that day to allow my body to experience it. And as I experienced it, the next day was gone. But I
Mm.
realized that I had put life out of order. I had got back into the survival state of mind, which is a have it, do it, and then you'll be the whatever
Right.
at
And
the
then you're
end.
constantly chasing.
You're constantly chasing it, Chad. And so it never, the voids never get, you never experience being it. And if you do, it's only temporarily,
Mm-hmm.
because life happens again and the next show happens.
Absolutely.
And
And
so
then you
it's
get
like
right back in that cycle.
you get right back in it. So it's a have, do, be is a survival state of mind. And to correct it, or the transformative way of viewing it is to be it, to do it, and then have the results. And so as soon as I put it back in order, man, it's like life brightened up. I got like the vitality came back. Like peace came because I am successful already. Like I don't have nothing to prove to anybody or to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that I'm up to are because I want to do it. not because I have to, but this is what I want to do to not feel
Right.
the void. And so and that's just like a week and a half ago, man.
Wow.
And so that level of that grief was peeled off, and I realized where I was stuck because I really felt stuck in that conversation. And I didn't want to be the person 10 years from now. I miss my dad. I miss my dad. Like, I didn't want to be that guy because I've seen
Right.
people, and if I would have quit, nobody would have been surprised. Because when his dad died, well, of course he shut down. Of course he walked away. Of course he became a hermit and just took off. Because I mean, that's what people do when their parents die. They shut down. But I didn't want to be that guy. But I will tell you this: the beauty of it all is the moment when that happened 6 years ago is where I went to God to find God for myself.
Amen.
Be- because I was in the same frame of mind of, okay, my dad died. I have daughters. I have grandchildren. How much time do I have? Is my grandson
Right.
going to be the same age as my daughter when I die? Like, how much time am I going to make it till he's in his 20s or 16? Like, how much? And so I didn't want to live like that. And I'm like, no, no. Like, I felt the weight, and I'm like, no. I'm like, okay, God, I have a relationship to death, and I'm okay with it. But I don't want to. I don't want to sit here and think about how much time I got left. And
Yep. Boy, that sounds familiar.
that's what, Chad, that's what set me on the spiritual journey. So I have to acknowledge that, yes, I went to the survival state of mind, but I found Christ for myself in the same 6 year span because I went to seek God for my life.
Mm-hmm.
So it was perfect. I guess it had to be that way to get to the point where I'm at today, right? To be
Mm-hmm.
this youth speaker and speak at church and share my testimony. But I had to go through that wilderness phase all at the same time, man. And it's like, I get it. Like, I get it.
And you know
It's
what? That is one. I commend you and thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Um, and the testimony of finding God that way, and God
Yeah,
finds you.
that's
God
oh
meets you
my
whenever you're ready.
gosh.
Right when you're ready, He's there. He's knocking.
Oh, he's right. He
He's
was right
always
there,
knocking.
buddy. He was right there,
And
buddy.
and a
Oh,
lot of people find Him when they're the most vulnerable. And if you look at the Bible and you read the Bible, where did God typically find? He wasn't there for the Pharisees. He was there for the people who truly needed Him,
yes,
right?
yes,
And
yeah,
that's the same for us.
yeah,
He's there. You just have to humble yourself to ask
yes,
Him to come into your life and to be saved. And you have to have a firm faith in Him and follow Him, right?
yes.
Be willing to drop everything,
That's
you
the
know,
be
and
willing,
and
the
and
willingness, man.
right. And in the Bible, that when He was walking on this earth, it was literally drop everything and walk with me.
Yes.
For us, it is drop your burden
Yes.
and walk with me, right?
Yeah.
And just believe in me.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that our lives will be perfect. And a lot of people will fall away because they think that all of a sudden, well, I'm never going to sin anymore and life's going to be perfect
Right,
because
right,
I'm a
right.
Christian. That's not the case.
That was the teenage years, and I thought that it had to
Right.
be like that.
And we have a pastor named Happy, his real name, his real legal name. He showed me his license.
Okay.
And Happy actually, I was talking to him about it, and he said that's when Satan attacks even harder.
Yes.
And so that ties into what you were saying about learning how to deal with those physical traumas, because
Yes.
Satan loves those old physical traumas and
Oh
mental
yeah.
traumas, and he
That's
will
all he
use
got.
those, and he will use those, and he will use those.
Yes.
So being able to push past that fear and sin of, the fear is the sin, and
Yes.
getting past that. But boy, did all that really resonate with me. And the thing about feeling your own mortality.
Yeah.
As soon as I got cancer,
Mm. Mm.
obviously
Mm.
you feel your mortality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I got through the surgery, right? I didn't have a type where I could have chemo or radiation.
Mm.
Okay, it was surgery. Let's cut it out.
Mm.
And about 2 years in, I have a coworker, that all of a sudden comes into my life, or, and she ends up telling me, "Oh yeah, I'm going through cancer too, and I have a doctor, or I have a friend that's an oncologist, and she was telling me that 2.5 years is typically when it pops back up,
Mm.
and then it really attacks." And she was stressed. So then all of a sudden, I took that stress,
Right,
right,
right, right.
and I snapped. I snapped around that time. I had a mental break,
Wow.
and and because Satan knew how to use it,
Yes.
right? And I started thinking about, well, my dad died in his mid 50s. I'm probably going to die in my mid 50s. My dad
Mm,
had cancer. My dad
mm.
started with colon cancer. And, they cut it out. Everything's good. Wait a few years. All of a sudden, here it is again. And well, now
Wow.
it's in his lungs,
Wow.
and he had partial emphysema on top of it. Well, then, he was in and out. We would call, he would joke around. We would call him the Michelin Man because he would blow up,
Right.
and he was in ICU. And,
Wow.
and this is my biological dad.
Yeah.
And, then it eventually went to his brain and he
Wow.
passed,
Chad.
So
Wow.
I'm playing these and I'm
Right?
talking about this. It's taking me right through. And I'm literally mentally seeing him the last time I saw him laying in his bed. And he's asking, he's like asking me to help him up in 1 minute. And then the next minute he's asking, "Where's Chad?"
Wow.
Because his brain is just
His
being
brain is,
attacked.
yeah.
And, um, so it's tough,
Yeah.
but then once we realize, another thing we have to realize is, yeah, we all have a certain timetable. We don't know what that
Yeah,
timetable
we
is.
don't
We don't
know.
know
We
what the
don't know.
expiration.
We don't
Only God
know.
knows what that is.
We
Just be
don't
ready for
know.
it, right? And just
Yeah.
live your life, run the race, and do it for Him, and you're good,
Yeah.
right? And He's
It's
not asking you to do anything special,
uh-uh.
right? Right? Just believe in Him, love your neighbor,
Yep.
right?
Two.
You
Did
know,
the two. The
the
two.
commandments are there to remind you that you're a sinner,
Right.
right? That you need Him,
Yeah.
but He came to fulfill those.
Yeah.
Um, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Once you have
I
Him,
appreciate you.
you just let go of that fear.
Yeah. And
It's
the
just
last 6
unfortunately
years.
our brains let us try to
well,
get us to remember those, right?
well, of course. Well, of course. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed memory patterns, action patterns, and perception patterns. That's what the
Right.
brain is designed to keep us alive, to
And I want
survive.
to personally say that, even though we've just met,
Yeah.
and thank you for reaching out, I feel a connection to you. If you ever are in need, um, or feeling that lonely part, but not
Yeah.
alone, text me.
For sure. I appreciate that.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
I don't want you to ever feel like you're alone.
No doubt.
I may not
Thank
be
you.
able to answer because you're in California, and it might be in the middle
we
of the
only
night. But just
three
know, as
hours
soon as I
difference.
wake up, I will get it.
no, thank
So
you. I really appreciate you again for accepting my invitation to even talk about your business. But then, like I said, when you called in on Sunday, man, I just heard something totally more than just about the dog conversation. So I really appreciate you allowing me to even share on my own show this important conversation, because at the end of the day, it's our life. It's we all deal with some version of our experiences. And when I learned about my trait and my collapsing and almost dying from that, and the renal
mhm,
failure and all the, it's like that's that affliction that God gives us to remind us, to draw us closer to Him. It's not, a bad thing. Like, we can make it mean a bad thing. So I really look from now what the world has to say and what the Word has to say, and
amen. I like that.
been able to filter, allow my spirit to lead my life, because I understand my mind now, and I know what, by following Christ, what does the word say? So I filter the mental health, I filter the personal development education, all that conversation, I filter it to now what the word says, and it's two totally different conversations. The personal
Hmm.
development aligns with it because it teaches principles, and a lot of stuff that the personal development teaches are really biblical principles, but they don't acknowledge God for that because it's a curriculum. But when you parallel it with the word, it it taught me how to be. It taught me principles, and we're
Hmm.
all used by principles, whether they're negative principles or or ones that give us strength. But we're all used by some belief philosophy, right? And usually it's corrupted. My
Right.
philosophy that I lived before that education, I had to go back and challenge the first 40 years of my life. But I found a curriculum that I had confidence in, that I trusted, that helped me say, okay, go back and look and see that thought. Go back and look at that memory. Why does that those memories popped up in my head all the time of me making that story about my dad, about being abandoned by my mom, about the six
Hmm.
year old, the 6 year old, reading with the ruler and being laughed at because I'm reading with my finger. Like all the things that Satan attacked me with, they all were memories in my head. And I would be like, why do I remember that day? Like it'd be like, why do I
Yep.
remember that day? Like, why do I remember that day? But I never knew that I could grab that thought and put it through a curriculum and unravel it to see what it was for what it was. I was 40. I'm saying, why do we have to wait till we're older? Imagine we could go back in our childhood, the younger ages, 8 years old. That's what I hear. That's what I see.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
let me just say this, because when you said the world and the word,
Yeah.
so how about this? The world is just the word being twisted by Lucifer. That's why there's an L in it, right?
So look, you know what I use? I say that the world and the word, the only thing difference is when you remove the L from world, that's the for me it's the loss. So you take
Mm.
the L out of the world, which is the loss, and it leaves you the word. But that L is God is love, right?
Oh, I
So
like that too.
you replace the L from the world as a loss. In the word, it's love. And
I like it.
so yeah, man. So again, I've just been blessed. Like I said, these last 6 years, like after last week, it made sense. Like, yes, I went through that suffering and that grief process, but then I also found Christ at the same time.
Hmm.
And it was like I needed that for myself. And here we are. And
Right.
I'm very grateful for you, man, to reach out and accept the invitation to share who you are. And I definitely would like to talk to you some more and just
Oh,
connect on the
absolutely.
spiritual context.
Sure. You know what? You're my new friend, and I
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
I feel like we're new, even though we just met. We're old friends. You
Yeah,
know.
thank you.
Um, I just appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you. You know, you reaching out. I appreciate God. You know, having you find me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I mean, it's just all good. I really. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I
Me
really,
too.
really,
I
you're
was an
really good dude.
emotional cat. I was an emotional cat, and I would say that growing up, I wore my emotions on my sleeve, and like I said, to learn that about myself, and to be okay with it and own it. It's still there sometimes. The old Quran is still in there, but I
Right.
recognize it, right? But when it shows up, I can catch it, and if it comes out, I can acknowledge it and say, "Hey, you know what? Please forgive me. I didn't mean to say that like that. Let me start over." Like that's a different
Right.
person, and that's what we want people. We want people to. Nobody's perfect. We want to see the realness. We want to see, hey, I do make. That's what our children want to see. Our children want to see, oh, my dad, you ain't got it figured out. No, I don't. Okay, because we're there, sometimes we're their superhero and we can do no wrong, but we do. Parents, we do disappoint our children. We do disappoint our loved ones, and to acknowledge that is where that's what we want.
Absolutely.
So, Chad, thank you for your time. Anything else you want to say before we go, man?
I just want to say God is good, first and
Amen.
foremost. He is my Savior. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior,
Amen.
and I just want to say, thank you for to Him for putting you in my path and being able to speak my I don't want to say my truths, but an account of my testimony
Yeah.
to all those military people out there. Hopefully, it helped at least one person.
Amen. Thank
Um,
you.
And if that's the case, job is complete, mission
We're
complete.
complete. Yeah.
And yeah, if you guys ever want somebody that hopefully you can tell truly cares, not only about your pet, but you.
Yeah.
Um, and if I can't help you, I can't help you. But if I can find somebody that can, I will.
You got to tell me
And
about the 20 cats, man. We gotta. I'm
oh
interested in
yeah,
that
I'm
one. I
I'm
gotta,
so
I gotta
excited
figure out
about
how you
that.
gonna do that one.
I am so excited about this one. You have no idea. And yeah, but Great Adventure Pet Transport LLC.com. Like I said before, it's born out of a Stephen Curtis Chapman song, Christian artist. If you know the song, you know it. If you don't, look it up. I love the song. It might sound old 80s style, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, our phone number is 330-551-3374 out of Akron, Ohio. Email Great Adventure Pet Transport LLC.com. Main place to get any information. I need to start posting more than what I have, but
Yeah.
on Facebook, just message me. You'll that's the quickest place to get me is honestly on Facebook.
Cool deal. Thank you so much for your time, brother. Nice
Hey
meeting you.
man, thank you very much.
Thank you for
God
today.
bless you.
God bless you too. All right. This is the Frondoze Show on Military Broadcast Radio Network. Again, thank you for listening in. Yes, 2 hours, 11 minutes. That's how it goes. We could still go on for another hour probably. So grateful again. If you want to contribute to the Military Broadcast Radio Network, this is what they do for us as veterans. This is a platform, an additional platform we get to share and express ourselves and share our experiences. Right. This is it. The whole point of my show is the relatedness. As you can hear, there's a relatedness. I was taught that civilians are not going to understand you, Farron. Civilians are not going to understand you. That's what I was taught, ingrained in my brain at a very early military career. Civilians are not going to understand you. Well, guess what, y'all? I don't understand Farron. So why would I put that pressure on you to understand me when I don't understand me? And what that does is it allows us to have a relatedness conversation. Allows us to use your imagination. How would you feel put in a situation like that? We use our imagination. Our imagination when we go to the movies. We use it in other ways. Imagine you can use your imagination to see, given those circumstances of another person, how would you respond to that? And I bet it wouldn't be much different, given their circumstances. So we're not different. Race, skin color, none of that. I was trained to objectify another human being into a terrorist and kill terrorists. But that's a human being. So imagine my brothers and sisters who had to go that route, that their brain remembers that that was a person, that wasn't just a terrorist. But it's not just us. We do this in life. We label one another skin color. I'm black, you're white, you're Mexican, you're Asian. And then we talk to people based off of the how we objectify, how the world talks about those people. And it keeps us disconnected from the humanness. That's the work. You don't believe me? Look at it from a sports conversation. Fans kill each other over jerseys that they don't even own the team. Because you got on the Clippers jersey and I got on the Lakers jersey, I can kill you in the parking lot for talking about my team. Let's go one further. Law enforcement. I'm a suspect before I'm a person. But we're all suspects before we're a person. But the community does the same thing in return. Oh, you're a police officer. You should know better. Well, that police officer is a person first, too. So we're all people first. We're all people first. And that's the relatedness that we have. You've seen it here today in more ways than one. That's why I do this, to create the space of a relatedness. And then here we are. We can have a conversation. We can further listen to one another. I don't have to set my stuff aside. I can set my beliefs aside to hear your beliefs. I can set my stuff aside to hear why you respond the way you respond and not react to what you said. But I have to be confident in myself before I could let that stuff go, right? Yeah. Appreciate you for tuning, listening in. Next Wednesday, we'll be back. 4 p.m. Pacific time, right here on the Military Broadcast Radio Network. If you want information about sickle cell trait, it's wdconst.org. You want more information about what I'm up to in the community, ferrand.com. Everything is there. Between those two websites, you can find information there. And of course, my Instagram at Ferrandozio, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those other places. All right. Again, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate you all for listening. I think I'm done. Let's get out of here. Shout us out what's to count. The Ferrandozio Show, mbradio.us. Check out the other shows here all throughout the week. You can find something to listen to right here. Contribute, MB